Hello and welcome to this afternoon's webinar, What Do You Want to Get From Your Career? I'm Rachel, I'm an editor at TARGETjobs.co.uk, but today I'm going to be handing over the reins to the ACCA so that they can talk to you about careers in accounting, finance and business and what support they can offer you with your employability. First of all, I just want to introduce you to our speakers today. We have Rachel from Mazars, we have Craig and John from the ACCA, and we will be joined later by Serge from Kaplan, but he's not quite with us yet. Don't worry, he will be here. What's going to happen is I'm going to hand over to these guys shortly, and they're going to be talking to you. We've got a little presentation prepared for you, and then towards the end, we're going to follow up with a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions for these guys, please do pop them in the question chat on the right-hand side of your page. If you see a question that you really want answering, upvote it because we can use that to see which questions are the most popular. We'll try to get through as many questions as possible, of course, but upvoting it helps us to know which ones you really want answers to. And because we've got quite a few speakers today from different places, if you have a question that's specifically for one individual, if you could make that clear in your question, that will just help us answer your question the way you want it answering. So I'm not going to do a big introduction to these guys. I'm going to leave it to them. They're better to tell you what they do, who they are. So yeah, I'm going to hand over to Rachel, if that's okay.
Thanks, Rachel. Another Rachel here. So we're just going to go on to the next slide, please. Okay, so who am I? My name's Rachel Stewart, and I am an ACCA member, and I work for Mazars, the accountants. So my current role at the minute is a manager in financial outsourcing in Scotland. So I want to talk to you a little bit about my career highlights. I joined Mazars and I immediately knew I wanted to do ACCA. So the reason I wanted to do ACCA was because I had heard that it was a little bit more flexible than other accreditations, and I wanted to be able to go at my own pace studying while also trying to get to grips to the big bad world because I'd come straight out of uni. So yes, I heard it was really going to be flexible, but the one thing throughout my whole career is that you need to make sure you do have a balance. So studying and working can be difficult, but you just have to make sure that you do get the right balance. You need to make sure that you still have a social life and see your friends at the weekends. But obviously, you know, studying has to be a big focus if you want to do it well. So I joined Mazars, wanted to do ACCA, and that all happened really, really quickly. So financial outsourcing is basically like the back office for a lot of different businesses and industries, and we take on all that aspect for them. So I got really involved. I love that you could be quite nosy and see inside all these businesses, and some of them you'd heard of, so it became even more exciting to look at what they spent their money on and things like that. So because I was like quite interested in what I was doing, and I'd sort of told the company that I was quite into technology as well. So they gave me opportunities. I kept putting my hand up and saying, oh, I think we could do this, and oh, have we thought about this? And they soon sort of said, okay, Rachel is getting quite involved here in other aspects. So I got really involved in cloud technology when it started to really sort of transform what the opportunities were for small businesses. And at that point, my sort of involvement had become quite national. So I got to move out of the Scotland geography size and go a little bit bigger. And we implemented lots of cloud technology, and I got to travel around the UK and present and do demonstrations and sort of learn a lot of soft skills along the way. But I was still studying the whole time. So just to tell you what happened at the exam point. So at this point, I had 2 exams left, and I'd passed them all first time. So I'd obviously done something right with my balancing. And then Mazars gave me an opportunity to go to Australia and work there for 3 months. So because I'd sort of put my hand up, I'd got involved in other things, and I was passing the exams. I was really lucky to get to go out there for 3 months. And what my opportunity there was to sort of learn what they do, tell them what we do, and see how we can work internationally with Mazars using cloud technology for the sort of accountancy and outsourcing clients. So that was amazing, as I'm sure you can imagine. Came back, had the 2 exams, did one, And then I got to my final exam, which was tax, and I failed it. I failed the final exam thinking, oh goodness me, how have I done this? So I just had to take it on. You know, these things happen. They are only exams. You know, you've got to do something differently if you fail. So I just basically learnt the subject and the syllabus a very different way. I did things differently. I did cue cards at night. I studied at different times of the day to see if that sort of got. I asked Mazars, oh, could you help me with tax? Because obviously there's something that's not quite clicked for me. And then eventually I passed it. So obviously there was always going to be a happy ending. But yeah, you know, it's not unusual to fail, and it's nothing to be, you know, embarrassed about or worried about. It happens. So after that, as you know, I then sort of got the international stance at Mazars. I then had the cloud technology under my belt, and I was then actually traveling like into a lot of countries. So I am so lucky. But yeah, I have got to go to different countries and meet new people and learn, as I'll mention later on, like soft skills. It's really important to get to meet new people, communicate, take their experiences and turn it into stories for other people. And also bring it into the workplace. So like how you deliver services to clients, you're learning from different people internationally. So I then moved away from clients and went into a sort of project role at Mazars. And like I said, stuck with the cloud technology, really saw that and how that was going to make a difference. And at that point then I was doing lots of other things, getting quite involved in marketing, which is something that I didn't realize I liked, but I was like learning how to talk to the market. Which I really enjoyed. So at the end of 2019, passed the exams, moved out of client work just temporarily, and I actually got recognised on the 35 under 35 listing for all the work that I had done internationally and nationally around sort of cloud technology and supporting other countries. So I have been really lucky to get to go about the place. Obviously, in the last year, I've sat in my living room that you can see for a long time, but it has brought so many opportunities to continue to speak to clients. I'm now back in a client role. I get to be in a big team and work with other people on the client challenges that they are all facing just now. But because of the cloud technology that I'm interested in and have implemented, we're able to do everything remotely. So it works really well. In terms of other reasons why ACCA sort of fits now, and I love to talk about the experience so that people can learn how did they do it and is it for me. But the ACCA sort of has a slant that, you know, it does go towards the operational side of the business. So you're actually throughout the syllabus of your ACCA exams and business experience, it is so operational, and you know you get involved with like how a business operates, and I'm really interested in that, and it was really relevant to be in a role that was quite in line with what the syllabus for the ACCA exams were at the time for me. And the advisory opportunities, because the syllabus is so built around opportunities within the workplace, you do become this advisor throughout the experience and the years that you have to put on your to-do list to get your qualification. Yeah, advisory over compliance was definitely more my sort of slant because I enjoy it more. So what skills were required to be successful in my role or in a ACCA member's role in the accountancy profession? I think you do need to be quite curious. That's definitely one of the skills that I have. I always ask questions and say, why are we doing it that way? Or I want to know why we're doing it. And when I do things, I'm going, okay, that's a debit and that's a credit. Not to talk to accountancy, but yeah, I'm really interested, and maybe you might want to call it nosy, to be honest. So as well, because I've had the opportunities to do the traveling, etc., you need to build soft skills. You need to be able to communicate and tell the stories and come back and present what you've been taught and be able to talk to clients and that sort of thing. So soft skills are definitely something that are needed today to be an accountant. I think you need to like numbers as much as, you know, there's there is numbers, obviously, and not everyone actually enjoys working with numbers, but does maybe want to go down this avenue. You need to be into it. You need to want to sit with a calculator all day and look at problem solving. So it's definitely a sort of skill that you'll need. Take interest in your clients and their business performance. The more that you get to see and talk to a client to understand why they do things in their strategies, it becomes more interesting for you. So get involved in reading articles and blogs and just understanding like how businesses are operating, because all of it will pull in to a role that you'll have in the future. Relationship building is sort of falls into soft skills, but and it's one of the things that I think everyone should start thinking about early on in their career is network building. Even if you're still at school or uni or college, start building that network and remembering where those people all went to in their careers, because it'll be so good to have them in your network for when you need them. And the more people you can reach out to and it'll help you then talk to the market and bring the right people into your network. And that's really important for, again, like your sort of relationship building and your storytelling. And yeah, like I said, like you want to know why you're doing things, and be interested and curious and ask the questions and put your hand up and just be proactive. You need to be very proactive with just your studying, and to be successful in your role. That's one of the things I think you would need to do to be in your ACCA journey and your pathway, is you've got to drive it yourself. You've got to take control of your career and you've got to run with it. And like I said, I've probably said it 20 times, put your hand up and say, I want to do that. I want to do it this way. Give suggestions. Everybody is really willing to hear suggestions and work collectively. So make sure you're inputting to every opportunity you can. Advice I'd like to offer to those considering a career in accountancy and finance. From my career, it does open lots of opportunities. Like I said, I've gone really detailed into marketing and looking at the way we put an image on the internet or on our website, because I know what clients are thinking. Is that the right thing? Is that what they're interested in? So various roles, but I want to stay with numbers personally, so it suits me to get to do a bit of everything, but it does bring lots of opportunities. As I said, another piece of advice is build your network now. Start keeping in touch with people that maybe have gone different ways and into different careers, because it's great that they could be with you on your journey as you go into your career. I think if you get the opportunity, and I know it's difficult just now with the circumstances, but try and get experience in businesses and maybe try at least 2 different industries, because then you'll find skills that you enjoy, you'll find your strengths, and also, as I've mentioned, you then have conversation points. If you're coming into jobs and going for job interviews, they want to hear about your experiences and what you learned on them and showing examples of things. So get yourself experiences in the local shop, the local anything, because anything matters. Your experiences are key. That will allow you to find your strengths, and you need to work to your strengths, because a team needs a lot of different people with different strengths in order to really succeed. So find your strengths and make sure you run with them. I think as well in the accountancy profession is try and take a step back to say, why do I want to get into this? Why accountancy? And have that story and have that momentum and that sort of want to get into it, because it is important, as I said, when you get opportunities later on, to be able to explain why this is interesting to you is really important. And I think if you're interested in what you're doing, it helps you get through it faster through enjoyment. The other thing is, it is hard work, okay? It is, but it's such a rewarding career when you've done the exams and you can do things like this today, and get to tell people the story, because you want to be supportive and make sure you can help everyone else, and answer questions and stuff like that. So it is hard work, but balance it and just drive your career personally, and hopefully you'll find success. That's me. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Rachel. My name is Craig Vickery, and I'm head of ACCA Scotland. And I've just found the little arrow to move me forward. Just to tell you a little bit about my experience, my career to date, I studied at Glasgow Caledonian University. I trained with PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, and I've been a number of years with ACCA doing a variety of roles before taking over this one. So I'm a qualified accountant, and I moved out of practice after about 5.5 years with PwC, and I've had a great time with ACCA, seeing many countries, including Pakistan, South Africa, Botswana, Cyprus, and around the Mediterranean there for a variety of different reasons. My role is really to support the members and future members, which you might term yourself as students, but we see people as future members once they start studying with ACCA, but also working with the media, with business organisations, the university and governments, both the devolved governments and the Westminster governments. And that's really to sort of ensure that they're aware of what ACCA does, our views on various policies and aspects. Is there something wrong? Have I disappeared?
You're fine for me, Craig.
Fine. Sorry, I just got a message saying I disappeared from the screen. Okay, apologies. Okay, so that's part of the role, and apologies about that. I just thought it was. I thought I was speaking to myself, and I'd go on forever. One of the aspects of my role that I really enjoy is, as Rachel has just done, is hearing about members' careers and the variety of them, and the sheer variety of them is quite exceptional. And as Rachel said, and you're picking up there, the cloud technologies moving to Australia, different specialisms and taking on that sort of more marketing aspects of it. There's a huge variety of roles that are an option to an ACCA member. And just two members that I would highlight, and they've been reported in the press as well. One is a CFO of Cricket Australia. And the other one runs a plastic recycling business, both of which was not on their radar when they commenced their studies. So that gives you some sort of example, Rachel, and those two examples there. So who are ACCA? We were founded in 1904. We were founded in a time when the accountancy profession was quite elitist. You were pretty much guaranteed to be male. You may have gone to certain universities. You'd certainly have had to go to university. And it was quite an elite closed shop. So ACCA was founded in 1904 to give opportunity for all with ability and ambition. And since that time, we've had a number of firsts that we've delivered, including making the first woman a member of any professional body in 1909, certainly accountancy professional body in 1909. So really making strides from there, and indeed this quarter we're talking about inclusivity and diversity, inclusion and diversity. So we continue to have that very much as a focus. We operate currently in 176 countries, and we see ourselves as a force for public good, that we are there to represent the public and to ensure that our members and our future members not only work for their employers and their clients, but also have that lens on what is good for the public and government there. So you see there's 227,000 members and 544,000 students. So I think all we can say about that is we're pretty big. So today we're the world's largest and most forward-thinking accountancy body, and the reason I'd say that is because we're thinking about ways that the profession is moving forward: digital, cyber, automation, climate, and indeed even the way that the workplace is changing. This last year has brought that very much to everybody's attention, and over the last year we've supported our members by building a COVID hub that gives them resources they can use in their own organizations, supporting them as individuals. And many of our students have had huge difficulties this year. Their support networks have been thrown apart because they're having to work from living rooms. They're no longer with their colleagues. So we've tried to support them through that hub and through a variety of webinars, etc. So I think we're a caring body that will support our members and our future members. So who can access ACCA? Who can take ACCA? So we're working to ensure that members are skilled, they know how to lead their businesses, and the knowledge, the skills and leadership. But how do you get into ACCA? Well, there are a variety of routes that come in through, I'll use the Scottish terminology here, the modern apprenticeship route or the graduate apprenticeship routes, both of which you can study for ACCA with those qualifications. You could go to university and do an accountancy degree, or indeed you could do a non-accountancy degree, or you could start straight into ACCA from school, taking our exams with an employer. Different starting points, but ultimately it's the same goal that you reach, and that's one of the differences that ACCA has to other professional bodies, in that it's a very straightforward, these are the exams, these are the routes that you need to take, and you start at different places. And this more or less summarizes the qualification. There are 4 professional papers. I'll start at the end and work backwards. So 4 professional papers, which everyone has to achieve. 9 applied knowledge and skills papers. Now, if you've got a university degree, you may be exempted from some of those. If you come in through a graduate apprenticeship, you will be exempted from most of those, if not all of those. And if you come in with a non-relevant degree, it may be some of those as you go through. Everyone has to achieve 36 months of relevant work experience. So you've got that technical knowledge, but you've also got the on-the-job experience that you can use and demonstrate the skills you've got and acquire more skills. And Rachel talked to some of those, customer service skills, marketing skills, a general business acumen that you need to obtain, and that's obtained as you go through your work experience. And the final element of the 4 elements is the ethics and professional skills module. Very much to the fore at the moment is that ethical and professional skills that we need. I mentioned how governments are looking for us to be a force for public good. And this is an area where ethics, that we ensure that all of our students, all of our future members, and every member of ACCA has had a thorough grounding, not only in the syllabus, not only in their work experience, but in a specific module that looks at how ethics impacts on their day-to-day roles, and both in their professional lives and their personal lives. So one of the things that we do is look at the drivers of change in the industry. So we're looking here that, what do employers look for? They look for accountants who can hit the ground running, accountants who understand global business and make sound judgments for their businesses. So all of those effects, all of those requirements have to take into consideration things like continued globalization, as we see an increased globalization of not only businesses, but also countries working together. You've got to understand that, and the transport, now we can work in pretty much any country for any other country, subject to requirements, government work permit requirements, but the cyber world has allowed us to work remotely from pretty much anywhere for anywhere. Increased regulation and stronger governance, and we're seeing that not only in the finance profession and the financial services profession, but also if you think about the environmental changes that are coming in, COP26, which is taking place in Glasgow in November, and the climate change and the regulatory requirements that will come in around that, looking for businesses to do the right thing, but also be able to measure the right thing, measure their impact and demonstrate what they're doing. digital technologies, Rachel's already talked about some of the work that she's done with Mazars on that, but the increase of digital technologies coming in there, and higher expectations of what accountants can do and should be delivering. And that's really, I think that's a really important thing, because it's great that the public and business have high expectations of what we need to do, what we should be doing, because it's raising our profile and our roles within organizations. So keeping the ACCA qualification current and relevant is really a massive part of what we do as an examining body and a regulatory body. And if you take the ACCA qualification, and I really hope that you do consider it, you know that we're keeping an eye on the world, and we're keeping your qualification current and relevant. And here are some of the areas that we're supporting our members and our future members have the skills that they need now, but also the skills they need for the future. So I'm not going to read them out. They're all on the screen there, but I think you'll agree, not all financial skills, the skills that finance is needed for. So finally, I would say that ACCA is the largest professional body in the world. We're #1 worldwide. But why would I say that? Well, we are the largest. We're also the most forward thinking, and with a professional body that will support you, your career. And if you've got the ability and the ambition and the determination, then I'm sure that ACCA will be a great career for you, and you can use that to build a great start. So thanks for the time, and I'll hand over now to my colleague, John Madams.
Thank you very much, Craig. Thank you to Rachel and Craig for your insights into your own career journeys then. Craig, I've worked with you for 6 years, and I learned something from your intro bio there. So it just goes to show how important networking and talking to others is. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Great to be with you all. My name is John Madams. I'm part of the UK Partnerships team here at ACCA. And I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking to you about an amazing resource here at ACCA to help you on your career journey, which is ACCA Careers. Now, here at ACCA, we are focused on supporting our students and our members in achieving their career aspirations. We're a force for public good, and we lead the global accountancy profession by creating opportunity. Our job platform, ACCA Careers, demonstrates this by not only supporting students and future members with employability, but also assisting employers to attract top talent. Now, we all know the current situation in terms of employment is challenging, considering the ongoing effects of the global pandemic, but there are real signs of recovery in the job market and reasons to be very optimistic in your job search. London Reuters said recently that British businesses have the strongest hiring intentions in a year, as the economic outlook has brightened over the last 3 months. And the Chartered Institute of Personnel Development said that 56% of businesses plan to increase staff numbers in the coming months. Hiring plans were strongest in the healthcare, finance, education, and IT sectors. And LinkedIn tells us that the fastest growing jobs in terms of demand are actually accountants. Now, the ACCA Careers platform has over 200,000 relevant job opportunities every month, with over 100 times more direct employer vacancies than with CIMA. And we work with our employer partners to bring you these vacancies across well-known global brands and smaller independent businesses alike, across a wide selection of sectors, including brands like EY, Amazon, and Apple, just to name but a few. And there's some other examples there on screen. Now, the accounting and finance profession is so diverse, as my colleagues were mentioning earlier, and there are so many opportunities and possibilities in terms of the type of roles you may be interested in and those which inspire you. The ACCA Careers platform demonstrates this really very clearly with a diverse range of opportunities. For example, you could be working within a shared service environment for a business like Apple across APAC and China in a truly global role and brand, or perhaps working in a non-for-profit supporting things like education delivery in Vietnam, or in a very truly digital role working in analytics and digital value for an organization like DBS. And of course, for many of you, and it's been mentioned by my colleagues earlier, gaining vital job experience is absolutely crucial, and ACCA Careers can also help you identify internship opportunities as well as permanent positions. Now, the ACCA Careers platform is more than just a place to go and apply for jobs. We'll help you navigate the future career zones such as digital playmaker or the business transformer, linking you to careers in real life vacancies. You can browse by location and drill deeper into the employers and by sector and by featured recruiters. So it's much more than just a place to go and apply for a job. At the ACCA, we've put a lot of time and effort into mapping out the different job roles across our profession and link these to the ACCA competency framework. So we can really help you to identify not just the role, but the skills required and where within the ACCA qualification you'll be gaining the skills required. And you can also take a look at our careers in finance section and review real life case studies of ACCA students and members just like yourselves across a wide variety of roles and better understand their careers, the industry, the sectors and the roles they do in real life. So you can really dig deep and find out more about the individual positions. We also offer tailored job alerts. So I'm sure you've all received lots of emails from different platforms offering you different types of opportunities. With ACCA's career platform, you can create tailored job alerts to match your own specific criteria and requirements. We won't spam you with irrelevant roles. You set the parameters and we'll let you know when these vacancies are uploaded by our employer network. We have over 25,000 job alerts being sent out each and every day. So if you haven't set up your job alert yet, do take a look, set up your own unique job alert and really find out when those vacancies come live. We also offer specialist practical and free career advice. So with ACCA's careers platform, as well as applying for these vacancies, you can also access a wealth of resources really designed to help you in terms of employability, including things like advice and guidance on transferable skills, digital skills, perhaps navigating from industry or practice or vice versa, and free CV reviews, as well as careers coaching opportunity as well. So it's more than just a platform to apply for vacancies, it's a fully rounded careers platform. So if you haven't taken advantage of things like the CV review and career coaching sessions, then do take a look, as well as accessing all the free on-demand resources to help you with your.
I think we might have just lost John there. Just bear with us. We'll see where he is, and if not, we can. Oh.
Hi everyone, hopefully I'm back with you.
You're back, John.
Apologies, I lost connection there for a moment.
No problem.
I'm not able to see the slides currently. Oh, they've just back. There we are. Apologies everybody for that interruption with connection there. We're all battling with home Wi-Fi, I'm sure. Okay, so the ACCA Careers platform is more than just a place to apply for vacancies. If you haven't already taken advantage of the CV support and the careers coaching sessions, then do take a look, as well as accessing all the other on-demand free resources to help you with your career planning. So, substantial and growing global talent pool. We have nearly apologies, everybody. Hopefully, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, John.
Apologies, everybody. There's some connection issues there. Okay, so employability satisfaction for our future members is our #1 priority. Don't just take our word for it. There's some examples on screen of what our partners around the world think about the ACCA platform. I'll just read a couple out. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for creating this platform with the objective of helping people have access to jobs around the world. It's a great platform for job seekers in finding their dream job at all stages of their career. There's also some examples of the brands that we work with on the job platform there, things like businesses like Lloyds Banking, Aviva, Vodafone, Sainsbury's and others. So it's a substantial and growing global talent platform. Nearly 51,500 followers on LinkedIn, 1.4 million unique users and 2.7 million job views and 700,000, crucially, job applications in 2020. And we're very much building on that in 2021. So why not join us? If you haven't already taken a look at ACCA Careers, do connect and become part of those increasing statistics. So in summary, the ACCA Careers Platform is a comprehensive digital employability network and careers advice and continuous professional development, from continuous professional development to talent and future skills insights and access to ACCA's global family with things like webinars, virtual careers fairs, social channels and student networks to connect you with our like-minded professionals across the world. Now let's focus on Scotland for a moment. As you will no doubt be aware, financial services is the leading sector, providing employment opportunities to ACCA members and future members in Scotland. And opportunities are primarily based around the city hubs of Edinburgh and Glasgow. And no doubt we have some students on from those cities. In terms of top Scottish employers, you can see some examples on screen: JP Morgan, BNP Paribas, Lloyds Banking Group, BlackRock, and many others. Plus, you can also check out on our ACCA approved employer directory on our website to help find and identify other employers. So some great leading global brands based in Scotland. Now let's have a look at some specific vacancies as well. So there's a personal tax associate trainee based in Edinburgh for assets. Now these are vacancies that are live. They're taken directly from our website, and just a couple of examples. You can take a look at those at your leisure. There's lots more, but just to give you an example of some of those type of vacancies. And there's also, for those wanting to get that experience, as I think Rachel mentioned earlier, which is vital, there's also things like our undergraduate virtual summer Insight Week with BDO based in Edinburgh. And again, there's lots of those type of opportunities to help you build and gain your experience as you go. Okay, so that brings me to the end of the session for me this afternoon. Apologies about some of the connection issues there. I believe our colleague Serge is joined us. Hopefully he's connected and in the room, and I'll pass you on to them. Thank you very much.
Cheers, John. Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Yeah, can hear you.
Brilliant. Cheers. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah, so I work at Capel. I'm a client director here, and I look after our relationship with ACCA and our apprenticeship offering that we have with our clients and our trainees across the UK. And I'm really excited to talk to you all about today our launch of apprenticeships in Scotland. So while we've seen huge apprenticeship reform in England over the last 3-4 years, there hasn't been as much reform in Scotland to the same degree as there has been in England. But nonetheless, we have been able to work with an organisation to create what we feel is a really, really good opportunity for many youngsters to get into the accounting profession through a government-backed scheme, and really allows you to start at the right place that suits you. So we will be launching this month 3 particular apprenticeships. It will be the level 5 ACCA introductory certificate, level 6 the ACCA intermediate certificate, and level 8 the ACCA diploma. I guess just for anyone who looks at these in regards to kind of the English equivalents, level 5 is the equivalent of a level 2 in England. Level 6 is the equivalent of a level 3 in England, and level 8 is the equivalent of a level 4. And the idea of having all 3 apprenticeships there is really to make sure that individuals can start at the right level for themselves. So if you are someone who's fresh out of college, who's never worked in any finance particular type role, we would generally recommend you could start at level 5 or level 6 to ensure that you have a nice steady introduction to the qualification, and that you have the opportunity to grasp the learning and embed it before moving on to some of the more tricky aspects which are covered in level 8. Those of you who have maybe had some exposure to a finance world, maybe be graduate, in that situation we maybe consider saying you may want to start at level 8, because that will be more in line with your experience and what you would expect to be achieving. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be delivering these courses via our live online function, so that COVID doesn't create a barrier. And in regards to Scotland in particular, your location and as to where you live doesn't create a barrier either. To add on to this, we will be working with an organisation called Genius People. And they're an organisation that are going to support us around the frameworks in Scotland. They're the experts in making sure that any documentation that is required as part of the apprenticeship is covered off appropriately. I can't see the questions, folks. I don't know if I've got any. One minute, just going to have a quick look.
Don't worry, I think we'll run through the Q&As once you're finished with your
Super.
session, no problem.
Super. Okay, so some of the key information in regards to apprenticeships in Scotland. Apprenticeships in Scotland are aimed at employees aged 24 and under. That is very much still in line with the funding rules that they have in Scotland. Having said that, if you are 24 and over, there is some funding available. It's just not through the form of an apprenticeship. The Scottish Government has formed a flexible workforce development fund. And what we would advise is, if you're interested in doing one of these courses, that you ask your employer to reach out to the SDS and ask them to apply for this fund. As I mentioned, we'll be working quite closely with Genius People. And what Genius People will be able to do is they will be able to provide you with a talent coach who will mentor you through your studies and ensure that you're staying on track. And that will be laid with the technical support that Kaplan courses offer, which I'll go over in a moment in terms of our study methods and how we can make sure you're successful with your examinations. Worth noting, in Scotland, there's no 20% off the job requirements and there's no endpoint assessments, and nor is there a minimum 12-month duration. So apprenticeships in Scotland are significantly more flexible than they are in England. And for employers, something that will be really kind of key, that may be key to be aware of, is in Scotland, they've currently got an apprenticeship employer grant, whereby new apprentices will, where a firm takes on a new apprentice, they will be eligible for a £5,000 grant. The only criteria is that they've started after the 1st of December and that the new apprenticeship is started before the 25th of March. So we can provide more details on that if anyone is interested in that grant. It's probably worth noting that we're hoping that some of these incentive schemes that have been launched by not just the English government and the Scottish government, but other governments, are continued over the next few months as we come to the end of the pandemic. So for those of you who don't know much about Kaplan, we pride ourselves on being the market leaders of ACCA tuition courses. We work very closely with ACCA, and what we have developed over a number of years is a variety of methods of learning. So we have always had the traditional classroom, but it's fair to say, well, about 12, 13 years ago, we developed our live online courses, which has helped us significantly during the pandemic, as we've been able to ensure that all classes have been able to continue. Layered with that, about 5 years ago, we launched our award-winning on-demand learning channel. And on-demand is really focused about allowing you to learn as and when you want in a really flexible manner, but through high quality content. So this is very much made up of tutor recordings. So myself, I was a lecturer for 12 years. What we've done is we've storyboarded how a lecture would run in the classroom, and we've basically taken the key elements and embedded that into an e-learning program, which is on demand. Within there are lots of different tasks and activities to ensure that you remain fully engaged. The beauty of on demand is that it's born digital. What it does is it enables you to have a truly personalized learning journey that makes sure that you learn at the right pace for you. And then lastly, we still have the traditional distance learning courses for those who may be interested in kind of more self-directed learning through Study Texas. It's worth noting, in terms of Scotland and our apprenticeships, we would only be allowed to use classroom and live online courses under the apprenticeship scheme. I think one thing we love to let our students and future students know is the support that's available regarding all learning channels. So regardless of the methodology you're using, you will always have access to My Kaplan, which is our online learning management system, where you will have effectively a hub of all your study resources. In there, you'll have your calendar with your course dates on there. You'll have online content. You'll have access to a bank of questions, including things like knowledge checks and consolidation tests, which form part of your homework. and really enable you to make sure you're on track. And that feedback, we believe, is invaluable when you're studying. Coupled with preparing for the exam, we have things like mock exams and performance reports around how you're performing in your mocks. And then to layer this all, we have at all times our students have access to our online academic support team. Our academic support team is a specialised tutor team that can answer questions via live chat, through request a callback or email. And this team is available 7 days a week, 362 days a year. And really allows you to ensure that you continue progressing at the right pace. And this was really aimed to ensure that actually, if you were studying on a Saturday at midday and you needed a question answering that you felt was holding you up from progressing to the next chapter or the next section, that question could be answered by a tutor. And that would then allow you on a Saturday at midday to continue working, as opposed to maybe expecting a tutor to contact you the following Monday for the query you may have. And then for all learners, we want to make sure that they have an awareness of who they can contact when they have a particular problem. So we have a dedicated student services team that will be able to answer any non-academic queries. So if you needed another password and you couldn't log back into My Kaplan, we have a dedicated team that will be able to answer that question for you. Likewise, if you wanted to book an exam or book onto a course, you could simply contact our student services team and they would arrange for that to be sorted for yourself. In terms of our academic queries, as I mentioned, we've got our contact tutor via My Kaplan, but you can also contact your classroom tutor or your live online tutor if you wish to do so. And if you were looking at doing an apprenticeship in Scotland, we have Genius people supporting us around the apprenticeship queries that you may have. At that point, I'm going to hand back over to Katie to see if there were any questions regarding that or any of the other individuals that have presented today.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Serge. Yeah, we have got some questions. So I'm going to run through them now with you, and I'll direct if they want a specific person to answer, but I'm sure you can all chip in as and when. So the first question I've got is directed towards Rachel. This person says, "Hi, I'm torn between CIMA and the ACCA. I'm interested in following the management accountant route after university. Do you have anything between the different routes?"
I think what you need to do because I've seen a few questions that are sort of asking similar things in comparisons, and I think what you need to do is attend webinars like this and attend webinars that you can find that are about all different qualifications, because the decision needs to come down to the one that you think is going to fit your journey best. And obviously you've got a target, which is a management accountant, and so personally for me, I knew I wanted to do ACCA, and it was a partner. It was partnered with Mazars already, so it sort of fitted quite well for me. That there wasn't a lot of choice that I had to go and do comparisons. But I would suggest you get in touch with each of them, ask to speak to one of their members, like something like today, like one-on-one if that's possible, and just listen to what the syllabus includes, the type of careers that people have got out of joining those pathways, so that you can actually just make your own comparison on Excel or something like that. Because at the end of the day, it is your choice and it has to be the right one that is the right fit for you. Sorry if that wasn't very helpful, but there's choices that you guys have got to just try and look at what's the right thing.
I think adding to that, Rachel, is the fact that CIMA is a qualification which perhaps takes you down a specialist route at this stage, whereas ACCA you can specialise in management accounting at a later stage. So if you know what you're wanting to do, then as Rachel said, learn as much as you can, speak to members of both bodies, and consider which is the best route for yourself. If you're thinking, well, ultimately my career needs to be as broad as possible, I need to keep my options open, whether that's going to be working in public practice, whether it's going to be working in the corporate sector, I like management accounting, but I'm not sure which sector I want to end up in, then you might tend towards ACCA because that gives you that flexibility. But as Rachel says, ultimately it has to be your choice.
Perfect, thank you. And then we have another question here, which is quite interesting. That's asking if someone's studying a degree, but they're not sure they want to go further with exams, are there still options to stay in the accounting industry, or are exams something you'd really recommend? Anybody, feel free to take that. Was aimed at anybody.
So I was just having to clear a message. John, can I throw you under a bus on that one? Thank you. Right. So looking at exam options, there will be exams that you will take after university, and I appreciate that might not be everyone's first choice. I think the important thing to remember with ACCA is there are different routes. So if you're coming out of university with a non-relevant subject, you may want to do one of our foundations in accountancy qualifications, where the exams will be more. Obviously, they're not as hard as the final professional exams, because the final professional exams build on those. But I think we're looking at different routes for the qualification and different assessment methods, but I think exams will be with us for a few years to come. And I'm not meaning 2s and 3s. I think they will be a feature of the accounting life from that point of view. There are organizations, and Serge from Kaplan, they are very good at teaching not only the content, but also the approach to exams. There's a lot of material that ACCA will support you with how to approach exams. And exams in a professional environment are very different because you've got your workplace experience that you bring to the exam hall. So you can bring experience from work to the exam hall. You can also talk to people who've been through exactly the same exam, and there's a lot of skills that you can acquire through there. But ultimately, I'm afraid exams, if you want to proceed in the accountancy profession, are going to be there in some way or form for a few years yet.
Hi, Craig. Oh, sorry, go on, Serge.
Oh, I was just going to support Craig's view in the sense that with exams, it enables institutes to put people in a position that is in a very practical environment to make sure that the work can be conducted under a high pressure situation, and therefore there is significant value to the industry from my perspective in still having those exams to make sure those demands can be met.
Yeah, and I was just going to build on what Craig was saying there. Apologies, I was furiously typing in the question box and couldn't get back to unmute myself. Apologies. Yeah, I think the key here is there's lots of routes to becoming an ACCA member, and the university route with an undergraduate degree, perhaps into postgraduate degree, is one. I think it's entirely understandable students get to the end of their degree and perhaps they experience a bit of burnout from an exams perspective, and that's understandable. I think if you do take a pause, and we speak to students often about this, you're keeping your hand in, so to speak, and utilising some of our foundation level resources, things like ACCX, which you can find out more about on our website, just to help keep sharp with some of the sort of at the basic level, is a good thing to do. And I think also just connecting with our other students and just sharing those concerns is a good thing to do. So I would advise students connecting across our social media channels and perhaps downloading the ACCA Accountant app, which is a great way to stay connected with others who might be having the same concerns. But yeah, I would echo what my other colleagues have said, that exams have to, of course, play a part.
Lovely, thank you, everybody. And then we have a question from a second-year university student. They're looking for a summer internship. Rachel or Serge, perhaps if you could pipe up if your organisation specifically offer summer internships, or if anybody has any advice for the student on finding a summer internship at the moment.
I'll go first. So in terms of Mazars and summer internships, it varies between offices and service lines. So when I say service lines, I mean tax, accounting, or audit. So I don't know the answer for everyone here, but there are particular aspects such as the Soltar scholarships in Scotland that certainly Mazars in Scotland have taken on in the past. So if you do a bit of research around sort of like summer scholarships, there's a long list of companies that take those scholarships on?
Yeah, I was going to suggest, quite similarly to what Rachel did, what I would do, and this is how I basically got my career in accountancy, is I would probably start by Googling your top 50 accountancy firms in your local area and really visiting their websites and seeing what provision they have for a summer internship. But don't limit yourself with just necessarily the accountancy practices. There are companies in industry that offer similar schemes. So I think thinking of some names out loud, I think we work with companies like Morgan Stanley. We work quite closely with in the Glasgow area. I think, I can't remember, I think it was John who mentioned the financial services industry in Edinburgh and Glasgow. So go to some of their websites and look at their career web pages. It's definitely worth trying, because quite often, if you can get yourself a summer internship, quite often, if you've got on well with the organisation, they'll often offer you a job for when you finish your final year of your degree, which is a great opportunity to have going into your final year.
I'd also add that building on what Sir just said there about the experience, is the experience is in an internship is probably more relevant than what it is. So if you can get an internship and get some commercial awareness, some experience of working in a team, some experience of working on a project, that's going to be valuable for you. I'd also highlight that ACCA careers, I'm not going to say they're there today if you go and look on them, but internships are also added to that, and we encourage employers to actually actively advertise internships that they'll be offering. So they should be coming. It's a harder year than a normal year because for obvious reasons, but hopefully by the summer internships should be back up and running.
The only thing I would just quickly add to that is don't underestimate your own network and your things like LinkedIn and your own professional network. If you're at university, connect if you haven't already with your careers teams. Take advantage of all and any offers from them in terms of work experience, however small. And I think Rachel said it at the very beginning. Experience is experience. A local business, a supermarket. Experience is experience. And as Craig said, it, even if it's not necessarily accounting and finance specific, it's real world experience, which is what it's all about. So, and I would also absolutely echo Craig's point to check out the ACCA Careers platform if you haven't already, to sign up for those alerts and be at the forefront when they become available.
Perfect, thank you. I think they're all really good points. And like you say, and Rachel touched on this earlier when she said, you can get experience working in a shop. It doesn't need to be specific. I think it's great to get a summer internship, and I think you should look for those opportunities. But yeah, I think, it is hard at the moment when we're stuck inside. We've had a pandemic, we've faced things we've never faced before, but don't underestimate the value of your hobbies, your more informal experiences, and your part-time jobs, your volunteering. All of this shapes you as a person. I think can really strengthen your job applications, so bear that all in mind. And I think just before we come to the end, we've got one nice personal question for Rachel actually, which is, why did you choose Mazars over other accounting firms?
Good question. I think when I came out of uni, as you know, I got the opportunities to travel, but I knew I wanted to do a bit of traveling and hopefully get a chance to do it through work. So I was really keen to join an international firm. And so that's why that sort of ticked my box. And yeah, I mean, the people are lovely and look at the opportunities I've got. So definitely made the right decision.
Perfect, thank you very much. So we are coming towards the end now. So I just wanted to flag up the next steps after this call. You've heard from these guys, and I just wanted to say a big thank you to Rachel, Craig, John and Serge for taking the time to come and talk to us, to answer your questions. We've also had some people in the background making a real effort to answer your questions in the chat box. So I just want to say a big thank you. Please also extend your thanks to them. And in terms of next steps, once the webinar is finished, you are going to receive an email with some links so that you can register with the ACCA, and there's going to be lots of links to more advice and help with employability, like Craig and John mentioned, the ACCA careers. So yeah, look out for that email and make sure to look at everything in there and see what can help you. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I hope it's helped.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.